Welcome to the second Inventor tutorial. Today we're going to make a dice, and along the way of learning how to make the dice, we're going to learn how to be a bit more precise. We're going to learn how to change the units that Inventor uses, and we're going to learn how to specify exactly how big we want things to be by using our drawings as well as using the dimension tool. We're going to do some fancy extrusions, allowing us to cut shapes into solids, as well as how to make a hidden pocket in this dice to make it a bit less fair. We're also going to learn how to use the chamfer tool to give our dice that extra little bit of awesome. To get started, we're going to go to File and New. We're going to make a standard part, and I'm going to click Create. We're going to start by going up to the Tools tab. There, we can go to Document Settings. When you click Document Settings, you'll get a menu that has a whole bunch of additional options. This allows you to customize Inventor so that it will work more like you want it to. The way that we want to customize it today is using the Units tab. Here we can change our units of length, time, mass, and angle. The one I care about is length. Clicking the drop-down menu, we can see all of our options. I'm going to select the millimeter, and I would like you to as well. Once that's done, you can click Apply and then Close. I'm going to change from the Tools tab to the 3D Model tab, and then I'm going to click Start 2D Sketch. I'm going to choose a plane to start sketching on. And then I'm going to use my rectangle tool to draw my first shape. When I use the rectangle tool, when I click the first time and move my mouse over, you'll notice some of the dimensions are glowing blue. This is because that is letting me know that I can type a dimension in there right now. I can type 25. And when I hit the Tab key, it will cause the other box to glow. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so it's easier to see what's going on. If I were to type 25 again, I would end up with a perfect 25 by 25 millimeter square. That's the size I want my dice to be. If I was designing a little bit differently, I might use my rectangle tool, draw a rectangle down, and then set my dimensions afterwards. This can be done by using the Dimension tool. The Dimension tool is incredibly powerful. It allows us to set the length or the angle or the distance between two lines. It is incredible. I want to set this side to be 25. My first click selects the side, and the second click selects where the label will go. Where the label go is a personal preference. I like to move mine a little bit away so that my drawings are clear. This gives me the chance to type in my dimension. Clicking the other side, I can then type in my dimension, but I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to type 24. It's really easy to change this dimension by clicking the 24. You might have to double click it, and it will come up and allow me to change it to be 25. Other ways we can use the line tool, like I said before, is to make some angles. I'm going to make this wonky triangle into being a perfect 30, 60, 90 triangle. Clicking the Dimension tool, my first click will be one line, and the second click will be the line that I want to set the angle between. The third click will place my label. I'm going to set this side to 60. Using my Dimension tool, I'm going to set another side, and we can see that it's really close to 90. But when I type 90, it will become absolutely perfect. You only have to set 2 angles of a triangle because the third angle will always add up to 180 with the first 2. We don't need any of this stuff though, so I'm going to use the escape key to exit the Dimension tool, drag select everything, and hit delete. I only need this 25 by 25 millimeter square, so I'm going to click Finish Sketch. It is time to extrude, and I'm going to click the Extrude button. When this comes up, I can see that there is an option and it's glowing blue, and this is telling me it's ready to understand how far I want to make it go. In this case, since I'm trying to make a dice, which is a cube, I need every side to be the same. So I'm going to type in 25. Pressing the Enter key selects that, and now I'm good to go. This is a wonderful cube, but I want to make it a bit less fair. I want it to land on 6 more often than 1. So to do that, I'm going to hollow out the top side of the dice and leave the bottom side to be more full. The heavier side will land down more often, giving me more 6s. Clicking Start 2D Sketch, I'm going to choose the side that I want to make hollow. In this case, I'm looking over at my navigation cube, and I'm seeing top, and I like that. Top is an easy way for me to think, because I want that 6 to land on top. So I'm going to click the side that's labeled top. I'm going to draw a rectangle inside of there. And now it's time for me to use the Dimension tool again. Clicking the Dimension tool, this time I'm going to set the relationship or the distance between my rectangle on the inside and the outside edges. You can do this by clicking one line, then the line that matches it and is parallel to it just a little bit away, and then the third click places my label. I want this to be 3 millimeters on every side. I'm going to repeat this around each side. First clicking the inside, then clicking the outside, then third click placing my label, typing 3 and pressing the Enter key. Swell. That's all I need to do here, so I'm going to click Finish Sketch, and then I'm going to click Extrude. I need to select what I want to extrude, and I want to extrude this inner box. That looks great, but I don't want a dice wearing a hat. I want this to be a hole inside of my dice. Coming over to my properties, I can see under Output, Boolean, right now it's selected as Join. But to the right of it, there's a bit of red taking a bite out of the blue, and it's labeled Cut. When I click that, we can see that it has swapped which direction and is now making it look like there will be a hole. This is kind of a preview to help us understand what we're about to do. I don't want my hole to go all the way through, so I'm going to set a distance of 10 millimeters and then say OK. Pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
I want to show you that when we edit a sketch, we can edit these dimensions, and if we have done a good job setting up our dimensions, that will be able to carry out our intent further down the line. Right-clicking Extrusion 1, I'm going to Edit Sketch. And instead of 25 millimeters, I'm going to make one side 40 millimeters. This would make a terrible dice, but this is great for this example. When I click Finish Sketch, you'll see that even though I didn't change the size on the cutout, because I set the relationship between the inside line and the outside wall to be 3 millimeters apart, this program was able to extrapolate out and make this part match that same thing. Okay, but it's a bit silly to have a cube that's not square or a dice that's not square, so I'm going to use the undo button and go back. It'd be a bit suspicious to have a dice with a huge hole cut out of it, so it's time for me to hide that. Using my 2D sketch, clicking the surface that I want to go on, I'm going to draw a rectangle. And this time when I go to draw the rectangle, you'll notice that my tool clicks to the corners. This will make it really easy, without doing a lot of measuring, to make a rectangle or a square that is the exact same size that I made before. Clicking Finish Sketch, and then Extrude. Once again, it's extruding out, and I do want it to be a join. I don't want to cut away this time, but it's going the wrong direction. This is a great chance for me to look at the behavior section of extrusion and then direction. Right now it's such default, but if I click flipped, it will go in the other direction. I don't want to replace all of the hole I cut out with plastic again, so I'm going to set the distance to be 3 millimeters, which is the same as I made for all the other sides. I can then say OK. It's tough to tell if I did anything. Did I fill it all the way up? Let's take a look. Using the Tools tab, and then actually clicking the View tab, I can click the Visual Style. This brings a drop-down menu where I can select Wireframe. And I can now see inside and through my model. I'm only seeing the edges. This confirms to me that yes, indeed, there is a secret light hollow spot inside that will help my dice land. I'm going to click Visual Style and then switch back to Shaded with Edges. That is my preferred one I like to work in. Going back to 3D model, it is now time to make this look a bit more like a dice. I'm going to use the chamfer tool, and the chamfer puts a bevel or an angle on all of the sides. Clicking the chamfer tool, and then I can start clicking edges. Let's zoom in and take a look at what this has done. This is going to take off that angle. I can add more to my chamfer by just clicking more lines. I want to make sure I select every edge. Once I'm happy with every edge, I can then set how big I want my chamfer to be. You can do that using the orange arrow, which might be a little hard to find. Or you can type in a distance. I want a distance of 1 millimeter. Then I'm going to say OK, and there's my chamfer. Luckily, I remembered to cut the hole on the top, so when it's time to label my dice, which it is now, that's easy to find. I'm going to make sure my top is facing up, which is where the hollow side is, and then I'm going to start a 2D sketch. I'm going to use the text tool to place the number that goes on that side. And this side, I want to get lots of 6s, so I'm putting 6 that side up. It's a bit small. I'm going to use the scale tool. Remember, the first click selects what you're scaling, and the second click selects where you're scaling from. I'm going to just click the middle and then make it be a size that I like. I can click Done, then I can click and drag the 6 to put it in a spot that looks good. I'm going to click Finish Sketch, and we're ready to extrude it. Clicking Extrude, I need to tell it what I want to extrude, and it is my number 6. I need to make sure that my boolean is set to cut, and my distance I want to be 1 millimeter. If I make this cut too deep, it's going to reveal the secret chamber inside of my dice, and the gig will be up. I'm going to say OK. Now it's time for our time lapse where I repeat this on every side. Alright, now that I'm done with that time lapse, it's time to take a look at the cube that I've made. It looks pretty good. Oh, goodness gracious, what a terrible mistake that I've made. I have 2 sides that are 5. This is a great opportunity for me to change one of those to be the right number. I need to figure out which number I'm missing. Okay, this 5 over here really should be a 3. I can hover down the model viewer and see extrusion 2, 3, chamfer 1, 4, 5, and it will glow each feature. Once I find the feature I want to edit, I'm going to click it, I'm going to right-click it, and then go down to my edit sketch. If I double-click my 5, I now have the opportunity to change that text to say 3. Say OK, and then finish sketch. And we can see that 5 is now a 3. This is looking pretty good. While making this dice, we have learned how to change our units to be something like millimeters or feet. We have learned how to use the extrude tool to cut or to go in a specific direction. We've learned that we can change our dimensions when drawing. We can even change them after we're done with the drawing. We can even change those dimensions after extruding. And we've learned how to add an attractive chamfer. Use this dice for only good. Now that's stupid. Don't use this dice for evil. Is that better? Use this dice responsibly.